When I landed the job at LUX Strategies, I thought it would be the beginning of a perfect chapter. Sleek office, fat paycheck, and the kind of fast-paced environment I dreamed of during all those caffeine-fueled nights in business school. The kind of place where success smelled like cologne and fresh espresso. What I didn't expect was that the most dangerous thing in that office wouldn't be the deadlines, but the man sitting in the corner office. Mr. Adrian Bennett. He wasn't just my boss, he was the boss. Late 30s, crisp suits, sharp jawline, and a voice like velvet laced with iron. Charismatic, unbothered, always 3 steps ahead of everyone else in the room. And openly gay, not that it mattered at first. Or so I told myself. I'm Eli, by the way. 26. I've been married to Jack for almost 3 years. He's a sweet guy, stable, responsible, and safe. That's what I liked about him when we first met. No games, no drama. The kind of man who'd bring you a coffee just the way you like it without you having to ask. But lately, Jack and I had felt more like polite roommates than lovers. Sex had become a scheduled affair, always on weekends, always under the same sheets, always with the lights dimmed. I blamed stress, then routine, then myself. What I didn't blame was a lack of love, because I still loved him. I just didn't want him the way I used to. That craving, the one you can't control, the one that makes your skin burn from just a glance, came roaring back the day Mr. Bennett leaned over my desk and whispered, "You always this focused, or is it just when I'm watching?" I looked up, startled, but he was already gone. Like it hadn't happened. Like he hadn't just dropped a match on dry grass and walked away with a smile. At first, I thought I was imagining things. That his compliments, "Nice shirt, Eli," "brings out your eyes," were harmless. That the way his hand lingered on my shoulder was just his leadership style. But that kind of rationalizing doesn't last long, not when your body betrays you. My stomach tightened every time he walked by. My breath caught when our eyes met across the conference table. I started staying later at the office, hoping, no, lying to myself, that it was just to get ahead. One night, around 9 p.m., it was just the 2 of us. Everyone else had gone home. We were reviewing a campaign pitch. I was trying to focus, reading off slides, when I felt his gaze, not on the screen, but on me. "You ever think about what it'd be like to do this with your boss?" he asked, a smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth. I blinked. "Do what?" He didn't look away. "Work late. Just the 2 of us. Maybe ditch the pretense." I laughed. Too quickly, too loudly. "You're joking." "Maybe." He leaned back, sipping from his whiskey glass. "You're married, right?" I nodded, gripping my laptop like it was a lifeline. "Yeah, Jack. We've been together 5 years. Lucky man." There it was. The line. The opening. The game, if I wanted to play it. "I should get going," I said, packing up, trying not to shake. "Of course," he said, his tone perfectly neutral again. "Big day tomorrow." The elevator ride down felt longer than usual. My reflection stared back at me in the polished metal doors, eyes wide, lips slightly parted. I didn't recognize the man looking back. When I got home, Jack was asleep on the couch, TV flickering with the end credits of some documentary. I stood there for a moment, watching him. His chest rose and fell gently. He still looked beautiful in his sleep, familiar in a way that should have comforted me, but didn't. I went to the bathroom, locked the door, and stared at myself again. My phone buzzed. "Mr. Bennett. Hope I didn't make things weird. You just seem like someone who could use a little chaos." I didn't reply. I didn't delete it either. That night, I lay next to Jack, eyes open, heart racing. Not from guilt. Not yet. From something far worse, wanting. And the worst part? I couldn't stop myself from smiling. The next morning, I told myself nothing had changed. Jack made eggs. I sipped coffee. We talked about bills and dog food. He smiled at me across the kitchen counter, and I smiled back, because that's what husbands do. But somewhere beneath the warmth of routine, a chill had settled. I couldn't stop thinking about that message. You just seem like someone who could use a little chaos. He was right. And I hated him for it. And I wanted more of it. At the office, Mr. Bennett, Adrian, as everyone else called him, acted like nothing had happened. Back to business suits and bullet points. If he noticed me squirming in my seat every time he leaned too close or licked his bottom lip during meetings, he didn't show it. That week, he started texting again. Sometimes it was about work. Adrian, slide 8 needs more punch. Think sex appeal. Adrian, you free after 7? Got something I want to run by you. Sometimes it wasn't. Adrian, what do you think people would say if they knew what kind of thoughts I had in meetings? Adrian, ever wonder if the best parts of us get buried under good behavior? I tried not to respond. Then I tried to be brief. Then I stopped pretending. His attention was a drug, and I was already craving the next dose. At home, I grew quieter. Distant. Jack noticed. You okay? He asked one night. You've been in your head lately. Just work, I lied, kissing his temple. He nodded, trusting me. That hurt more than anything. The final straw came on a Thursday. We were wrapping up a pitch in Adrian's office. I stood by the whiteboard, flushed and frustrated, rambling about target demographics when he stepped in close, too close, and adjusted my collar. Your presentation is solid, he said, voice low. But the way you walk into a room? That's the real sell. I stepped back. Don't. He raised an eyebrow. Don't what? You know what. He nodded slowly. So stop me. I didn't. He turned, walked to his desk, and picked up a folder. We've got a weekend conference in Palm Springs. Company suite. You're coming. I blinked. Isn't that for senior staff? He smirked. You're more senior than you think. Bring something casual. Poolside networking. When I got home that night, I didn't tell Jack. I packed light. Said it was routine, nothing exciting. He kissed me goodbye without asking questions. That made it worse. Palm Springs was heat and glass and expensive silence. The suite had 2 beds, barely spaced apart. Modern, masculine, 1,000 miles from the life I was trying to keep intact. We worked a little, talked a lot, ate room service on the balcony, drank wine that tasted expensive. I tried to keep my body language professional. I really did. At one point, Adrian peeled off his dress shirt, revealing a sculpted chest and that careless confidence only men like him possess. Hope you're not shy, he said, standing in nothing but slacks. I scoffed too quickly. It's not like I haven't seen a shirtless guy before. No, he said, approaching. But I'm guessing it's been a while since you looked. I froze. He stopped just short of me. I could smell his skin, cologne, sweat, something darker. I wasn't joking the other night, he said. About wanting to know what it would be like. I swallowed hard. Adrian. You can say no. His voice was softer now. Dangerous in a different way. But you haven't yet. He brushed past me, walking to the window. The tension snapped like a rubber band stretched too far. You should sleep, he said over his shoulder. Big day tomorrow. I stood there for a long time, heart pounding, hands clenched. I didn't leave the room. The night swallowed the room in a hush of moonlight and conditioned air. The city shimmered outside the wide hotel windows, indifferent to the war waging inside me. Jack's face lingered in my mind, steady, patient, trusting. Adrian's silhouette moved through the suite like a shadow I couldn't shake. I lay on one of the beds, stiff and wired, still dressed. My thoughts raced through every justification I could fabricate. It was just attraction. A moment. I hadn't done anything yet. But my body already knew what my conscience refused to admit. I wanted him. The bathroom door clicked open. Adrian emerged wearing nothing but a towel slung low on his hips, droplets of water gliding down his chest. He moved with the calm certainty of someone who never heard no and didn't expect to now. You still awake? He asked, voice husky. I sat up. Yeah. He didn't speak. Just walked over to the minibar, pulled out a tiny bottle of whiskey, and poured it into a glass. He offered it to me. Our fingers brushed. "I meant what I said," he murmured. "I won't push. But I won't pretend either." I drank. It burned going down. Adrian sat on the edge of his bed, facing me. "Eli, I see the way you look at me." "Don't," I said, but there was no strength behind it. "I don't want to ruin you," he said. "I want to uncover you." The line should have sounded cheap. But the truth of it hit like a punch to the ribs. He wasn't seducing me, he was exposing me. Pulling back layers I'd buried under years of predictability and polite love. I stood up, trying to steady myself. "This isn't me. I'm not someone who cheats." "You already are," Adrian said softly. "You just haven't touched me yet." The silence between us stretched, thick and electric. Then, as if on instinct, I closed the space between us and kissed him. It wasn't tender. It was desperate. A release. His hands gripped my waist, mine tangled in his damp hair. We moved without words, without hesitation, two men uncoiling years of restraint. My body betrayed every vow I'd ever made. I felt alive, terrified, addicted. He pulled me onto the bed, his mouth trailing fire down my neck. I didn't think about Jack. I didn't think about home. All I knew was this moment, this body, this man who made me feel seen, not as someone's husband, not as a loyal employee, but as someone desirable. Clothes disappeared. Time warped. I didn't care where Adrian ended and I began. I just wanted more. When it was over, we lay there in silence. My heart pounded. My skin was flushed and raw. Adrian lit a cigarette, exhaling toward the ceiling. "You okay?" I stared up at the dark, suddenly cold. "I don't know." He looked over. "You want me to lie to you and say this doesn't mean anything?" I turned on my side, away from him. "I don't want anything right now." He didn't push. I slept beside him, fitfully, uneasily, caught between guilt and gratification. The next morning, sunlight spilled across the suite like judgment. I woke up to my phone buzzing. Jack's name flashed across the screen. I answered. Tried to sound normal. "Hey." "Morning," Jack said. "Just checking in. How was the pitch?" I glanced at Adrian, who was still in bed, bare chest rising and falling peacefully. "It went well," I said. "Long day." "I miss you." "I know," I whispered. "I miss you too." A lie, spoken quietly enough to believe. After the call, I dressed quickly. Adrian watched me. "You leaving early?" "I need air." He nodded. "You'll come back." I didn't respond. Just stepped out into the hallway, my heart pounding against the walls of my chest. Downstairs, the desert heat hit like a confession I couldn't escape. I sat at a cafe patio, coffee cooling untouched. My reflection in the window looked older, hungrier, and infinitely more broken. I had crossed the line. There was no unkissing him. No unfeeling what I felt. But the worst part? I didn't regret it. Not yet. I flew home from Palm Springs with Adrian's scent still clinging to my skin. A mix of citrus, heat, and something unnameable that made me feel powerful and filthy all at once. The flight was a blur. Every vibration of the plane felt like a judgment. Every bump reminded me of the bed I'd betrayed Jack in. He met me at the airport, smiling like nothing had changed. Because for him, nothing had. Jack wrapped me in a hug, warm and unguarded, and I had to bite down the urge to confess right there on the tarmac. His voice in my ear was the sound of safety, of history, of all the promises I had torn to shreds. "You look tired," he said on the drive home. "Didn't sleep much," I murmured. That was the truth. But not in the way he thought. At home, everything was exactly where I left it. The framed photo of our wedding sat on the entryway table, untouched. Jack cooked dinner, his famous mushroom risotto. I could barely eat. He talked. About the dog's latest antic. About the neighbor's weird lawn decorations. About how quiet the bed felt without me. And I sat there, swallowing guilt like it was wine, nodding, smiling, pretending. That night, when he reached for me in bed, I hesitated. Just a second. But long enough for him to notice. "Hey," he whispered, drawing back. "Are we okay?" I stared at the ceiling. "I don't know." Silence. Then, "Is there someone else?" There it was. Sharp. Simple. Honest. I didn't answer. I didn't have to. Jack sat up, eyes wide, blinking through the weight of it. "Who?" I stayed quiet. His voice broke. "How long?" "Not long," I said. "It wasn't planned." He laughed, an ugly, bitter sound. "Yeah, I figured it wasn't scheduled between team meetings." I sat up. "It meant nothing." "You don't even believe that," he snapped. "You're not built to cheat, Eli. If you did it, it meant something. I didn't want to hurt you. But you did." The silence that followed was suffocating. I reached for him, and he pulled away like my touch was poison. He left the room. I didn't sleep. In the morning, he was gone. Just a note on the counter: "I need space. Don't call me today." I stared at it for 10 minutes before throwing it in the trash. Back at the office, Adrian was waiting. Smiling. Confident. The man who cracked open my world like it was a toy. "You good?" he asked, holding my gaze. "No," I said. "Jack knows." Adrian shrugged. "It was bound to happen." I walked into his office, shut the door behind me. "What are we doing?" He leaned back in his chair. "Right now? Making money. Maybe later, something more fun." I didn't smile. "Do you want me?" he asked, tilting his head. "Yes," I admitted. "Do you love me?" The question hung in the air, too loud for such a quiet room. "No," I said. "I don't." He studied me. "Then what are we doing, Eli?" And I didn't have an answer. Because the truth was this: Adrian made me feel alive, but Jack made me feel real. I walked out of the office without another word. That evening, I found myself in front of Jack's best friend's apartment. I knocked. Jack opened the door, hair messy, eyes red. He didn't say anything. Just looked at me. "I'm not here to make excuses," I said. "I cheated. I betrayed you. I let myself want someone else because I didn't know how to tell you I felt lost." He didn't move. I don't know what happens next. But I know this: nothing I felt with Adrian was love. It was fire. But it burns everything down. Jack's voice was hoarse. "Then why did you light the match?" "Because I didn't know how to say I missed us. Not the routine. Not the comfort. You." He stepped aside. "Come in." I did. We didn't hug. We didn't cry. We just sat on the couch, inches apart, hearts miles away. "You're going to have to earn it back," Jack said. "All of it." "I know. It'll be hard." "I want hard," I said. "If it leads back to you." He nodded. For the first time in days, I exhaled. There was no clean ending. No guaranteed forgiveness. But there was a crack in the door. And I was willing to crawl through it.